بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين.
In the name of Allah, the most merciful. In the beginning of this meeting, I don't know if everybody is here. Can we start? Okay. If you allow me, I will do the presentation in French.
De l'urbanisme, de l'architecture et de l'aménagement de territoire.
I will present in English. I will give my presentation in English. I am from the Urbanism Department and Habitat. It's with great pleasure that I am here today with you all to animate this session organized in the framework of the third Land Conference and co-organized by the Ministry of Habitat and UN Habitat and the other partners also. I wish you welcome. I wish you a good session organized by the partners of our departments, of the Ministry of Agriculture, the Moroccan Association, and the land governance. So in this session we will talk about the urbanization and preservation of agricultural land. As it has been said by a French journalist, he said that we should construct cities in a natural area, and our rural area has been a place of building and other cities. So facing the growth of demographics, we should clarify and regulate those tasks. So we should think about our territorial So we are in the development of spreading in other spaces.
Sombre, l'urbanisation, si elle est maîtrisée, planifiée durablement, peut devenir un vecteur de richesse.
Urbanization, if it's well organized, it can be a source of richness and the development of areas. And this can only be done in the framework of great policies and the adoption of strategies, of sustainable strategies. In order to have reflections on this and this dilemma that we have nowadays, which is the preservation of agricultural land, which is very rich. We have the opportunity during this session that we are having a very diversified panel, and I have the honor to welcome the two representatives.
The
two key departments are the Ministry of Urban Planning and the department that is in charge of agriculture. The one that forms the cities' trajectories, but also the director of these processes. We have a map. We have a map that is that manipulates all the data to create smart maps, interactive maps, which allows to observe, surveil the consumption of agricultural lands. We also have a lot of expertise in the analysis of public policies, which will clarify us on this problematic in different countries. Western Asia, Arab countries, which will bring many clarifications that will help us accompany our policies to harmonize urbanization and the preservation of agricultural lands. I call the first person Mr. المقدم عبد الواحد المقدم. Before introducing different interveners, you can scan the QR code to enroll, and by doing that you will have the documentation that will be shared with you today. I vividly invite you to scan the QR code to enter your coordinates so that we can share with you the documentation. As I said, Mr. Muqaddim is chief engineer. He is a graduate from the Hassan II University of Veterinary and Medical Science. He enrolled in the Ministry of Agriculture and Civic and the Rural Development in Faris, Water and Faris. More than 15 years of experience. Mr. Muqaddim today is in charge of the division land planning and management. Lady Hanta Minaid, who is architecture graduate from the Institute of Architecture in Tunis. She is also manager of the heritage and architecture of the heritage after occupying many positions at the central level. Beforehand, she was director in the Khmisat agency, and now she is director in the province of Sidi Qasim Sidi Sliman. She is also delegate in the Mediterranean Union. She's known for all of her commitments towards the digitalization and innovation in the urbanistic approach. Mr. Mahjoub Al-Harash, who has two hats, regional director of agriculture, but also the director of the office for valorizing agriculture in the region of Al-Gharb. I believe that the next case study will be Al-Gharb or El-Gharb. We have tried to align this preservation with the accompaniment graduate of the Institute for Management of Enterprises, and he has had many positions in the management, whether in the northern region or southern region, and he accompanied all of these policies and strategies relative to the problematic of urbanization of agricultural lands, preservation of waters, and also transferring waters between the two basins of Cebu and Bourgreg. And I believe that Mr. Al-Harash has a long experience in the matter of more than 30 years. Isn't it, Mr. Al-Harash? His intervention today will be of very high value. I call as well our young PhD student, our young PhD student in geosciences and sustainable development and management and land management in the Institute Hassan II. She is the founder and the president of the Moroccan Association of Researchers in Land Matters. She is also a researcher in the network excellence in land and governance in Africa, NELGA. I believe that the association NELGA, they have shared with us their booklets, the work of their engineers in the region. To conclude, I invite Dr. Soukaina Nasrawi, that directs urban development in ESCOA, the Commission of the UE for Western Asia. Dr. Nasrawi is an eminent personality in urban development and the implementation of sustainable development goals and urban agendas. She has worked on many thematics: smart cities, sustainable development, knowledge of cities, information and knowledge management. She is the author of the book entitled Sustainable Smart Cities, a Human-Centric Approach. We are happy to have her here with us. We have shared some figures with you that translate this problematic of agricultural lands consumption. But we are also facing the dilemma of accompanying urban development vector or lever for riches. I give the floor to Mr. Al-Muqaddam to present to us the department's vision, the agricultural development's vision, and the development of waters and forests. You have 10 minutes so that we can allocate time to the audience to express themselves after. It will be broadcasted or it will be showcased on the screen. We will try to see the screen here. First of all, I would like to thank all those who organized this event and made it successful. First of all, for inviting us to be here, and second, to well organized, and I hope.
هذا كنت أود أن أقوم أن أقدمه باللغة الفرنسية إلا أنه في
Because of the guest, I'd like to present it in Arabic, wishing me luck. Concerning my presentation about protection of land, agricultural land in service of food security, sustainable food security, about three axes. The first axe concern about the
المملكة المكتسبات
challenges protection of agricultural land, and finally the final axe the visions, future vision and challenges about in achieving food security and challenges of climate change. The space, the agricultural space, is 1.6 million hectare, and also that it takes the percentage of, and also we cannot deny the pool on a 52 and also this agricultural it creates more than 40% of inhabitants in rural areas. With all these winds, we see this sector knows a lot of problems. The first problematic about food security, achieving food security, and which is an important factors in the stabilizations of countries and states, and its important and positive role in what a lot of countries has suffered from in Corona period, and also the other challenge concerning about the climate change and factors related to economical and stability of countries. And also the third challenge is about the topic is the theme of this conference about cities and expansions. We said there are some studies by Agriculture Ministry concluded that our kingdom it's lack the touch, the agricultural touch, and this sorry, we find the best quality lands, fields, and unfortunately there is not aggregated. A picture that shows clearly what the results that I stated. And we move to the other acts concerning about preserving agriculture lands in the Kingdom of Morocco in a strategic under the umbrella of strategies and especially the strategy concerning about the agriculture ministry, the Green Morocco, and the current strategy of the green generation, and the first strategy, and this is what one of their priorities is precising the resources, waters, and agricultures and animals, and also sustainability and preserving agricultural land and encouraging agriculture, ecological agriculture. Even though there is a multi-diversity of laws in the landscape lands, and there is rich, and there is it started its preparation from the first, and I mentioned one of it is one of the laws that's related to agriculture is the law concerning and investments in agriculture, and also the law in investments in collective lands, and then I will mention two important laws taking in mind the fear of preserving agriculture lands, and this is housing law, and then bearing in mind all documents of housing documents, and thanks God we initiated the works of on all regions of Morocco. Also there is another law concerning about council, creating a council and promoting investments that deals with receptions and projects of agricultures and non-agricultures, and make sure they're consulting with other ministries, and on the local scale, bearing in mind this touch of preserving agriculture of agricultural lands to the land or the real estate. I think that concerning the third acts related to future prospect, and challenges concerning food security and climate change, I'd like allow me to suggest to you some suggestions that will enrich and recommendations of a business plan of to this. And I would like to start in including the environment perspective and making sure to in doing all projects and promoting ecological agricultures and management, good management of resources, and also in and giving birth to a project concerning about waters of rain and works of agricultures and other factors. And also there is a third suggestion participating other parties in this, promoting formations and learning and letting in all these institutions and its role in management fields about concerning its concern with it, and also it's managed by councils and elected council in a democratic operation, and also participating, letting in the projects of sustainable projects. There is also another suggestion that is the importance of yeah, I will finish. Let me finish. Through putting promotions of practices that will save lands, agriculture lands, and also will fix wasted lands. Also making a project of that's saving lands and preserving these lands and fixing it, and making sure to create this in every country of our Arab countries and African countries as well. It's important, and also supporting scientific research and innovations, and making sure that transferring information to agriculture, and also even though all the arsenal and legal arsenal that our kingdom have, and even though all of this, and that I mentioned a little while back, some recommendations, making sure and bearing in mind this part is important. Preserving lands is important, and also the practices in reality requires making sure a general law, and balancing between preserving lands and modernization of the needs, dynamic needs, and the advancement of our kingdom. And finally, I apologize for taking so long. Wishing me luck in participating in success in this conference, and thank you. Thank you, Mr. Muqad.
Thank you for the presentation. Now we will move on to the problem of the urbanism department in accompanying advancements, territorial advancements. Lady Hantami, go ahead, please. As I said, as I've given 12 minutes to Mr. Muqaddam, now I will allocate you the same 12 minutes. I will have more time, isn't it?
C'est bon? Voilà. Ah, مازال. Non, il faut pas. Surtout pas. Surtout pas. On va attendre. C'est bon? Ah, d'accord.
Bonjour tout le monde.
Je vais présenter en français parce qu'effectivement il y a des
I will present in French, so I have technical issues. There are technical terminologies, so it's not easy to translate it. It's with great pleasure that I am here today with you to present my presentation in the framework of this conference. Before starting, I would like to thank all the organizers of this event and for giving us the chance to share our experiences regarding a very important thematic, which is the urban planning and the challenge of sustainable development. So there is a multidimensional aspect. The SDGs, as we have already mentioned, and the other strategic aspects.
Il faut rappeler par ailleurs que l'action, aujourd'hui, s'inscrit dans un contexte marqué par des transformations.
We have a very radical change. There are 4 elements that marks this context. There is climate change increasing, an ecosystem and a system based on resources, and crises that fragilize the crisis and improve or multiply the pressure. The word now, there is no presentation.
Non, c'est pas grave, je peux attendre quand même. On a tellement travaillé cette présentation qu'on ne va pas l'arrêter. Oui. Parce que c'est important quand même.
It is important to have the presentation.
Ah, c'est pas... Enfin, Hamsi, enfin. D'accord, on a parlé des références un peu, sur lesquelles on se réfère.
We have tackled the references. I will talk about the context that we've been based on. There is the context of increased urbanization and globalization, environmental context, economic context, and a context of crisis. So nowadays, urbanization has major impacts on societies. These have been prior mentioned. As urban areas expand, land previously intended for agriculture activities is often transformed to meet the needs of infrastructure, housing, and economic activities, which result in a reduction of available agricultural land.
Toutefois, il y a lieu de noter que cette expansion de la tâche urbaine
and this expansion, it is in the city and center urban, which is introduced by the extension of urbanization. by means of an urban planning document and result in change of agriculture vocation.
Un établissement humain d'un document d'urbanisme. Par contre, il y a un second processus qui s'opère à travers la prolifération des constructions.
And also there is another concept which is the douar, the process of proliferation of construction around the original douar results in the fragmentation of agricultural land without generating new added value. And the procedure for democrating douars under the joint circular. And also climate change, which Morocco is one of the countries most affected by climate change, and it has different impacts.
La sécurité alimentaire. Nous en citons les plus importants. Baisse des rendements agricoles.
So we have the rising temperature, the decline in agriculture and food shortage, change in cultivation zones, and climate migration. We have the global economy, which is the global economic competition and its effects on agricultural land. So we have a dependence on international markets. Farmers must adapt to the global prices and increase in agricultural land prices. Crises are our fourth part of our context. We have pandemics and crises, economic and financial crisis, and we have the food crisis due to demographic pressure. From we have the global consequences, which is the reduction in agriculture productivity, degradation of ecosystems, and loss of biodiversity.
Avant d'exposer les impacts de l'urbanisation sur les terres agricoles, permettez-moi de vous donner quelques informations.
I will give you some general figures in Sidi Qasim, Sidi Slimane. It's 42% of the regional population. It is a territory which is dynamic. The population in 2024 has been more than 2 million inhabitants, and the rural population constitutes 42% of the regional population, and it is introduced by the territory with this unique natural capital. It is very important in terms of investment. It covers 84% of the irrigated perimeter. Based on a study that has been made that Mr. Lahraj will tackle also, the global area of agriculture has been multiplied 4 times, so the activity will be compromised. I will not tackle in detail those figures, and also the impact of urbanization on agricultural land. So more than 15 douars in the province of Sidi Slimane and more than 750 in that of Sidi Qasim, or about 1,000 in total, are mostly scattered. So urban sprawl is becoming more widespread in these areas. This sprawl is causing an increase in open areas and overconsumption of space, thus putting strong pressure on agricultural land. What are the challenges of the urbanization of agricultural land? I will try to take 5. Satisfaction of work induced by urban growth, preservation of agricultural land and guarantee of food sovereignty, mitigation of impacts on biodiversity and ecosystem, intelligent and balanced management of land use conflicts, and the 5th one is strengthening the resilience of territories in the face of this change. So, satisfaction of the needs induced by urban growth. This growth, we will have welcoming new investments and developing economic activities on to implement investment projects and create administrative and social collective facilities. We have increasing urbanization threatening the sustainability of agricultural land. This reduction in cultivated areas had two impacts, which is the decline in local food production and pressure on natural resources. In terms of mitigation of impacts on biodiversity and ecosystem, we have the conversion of agricultural land into residential areas impacts the habitats of animal and plant species, affecting their survival and reproduction. For the fourth challenge, which is intelligent and balanced resolution of land use conflicts, we have two uses. This situation creates between two different needs, which is economic development and preservation of agricultural land. And we must juggle the imperatives of economic development with the need to preserve agricultural land to ensure long-term food securities. So that's why we should accelerate this process in order to guide us in urbanization. And it's really important to apply those laws. Finally, for the last challenge regarding the strengthening the resilience of territories. So, the role of nature spaces, including agricultural land, in mitigating the effects of climate change and improving the capacity. Also, agriculture is a water-intensive activity, and urbanization can also increase pressure on water resources. Integrating the circular water economy into urban space will allow for better regulation of the use of these resources. Also, the optimal urban sprawl, so that is translated by the construction of a new infrastructure, led to the waterproofing of soils. So there is approaches to preserving agricultural land. We have the tools of urban planning. And working with those tools, we could work on this. So, the SDAU, I think it's important what I'm talking about. I think I can have more time. I will not dive into details. So we have the plan of reconstruction, and the tools, which is very important, is the delimitation of the walls. For the first approach, it's a strategic one. We have two objectives, which is the sustainable resource management and the preservation of ecosystem and agricultural areas, and the second objective is the reorganization of the territorial framework for balanced, integrated, and sustainable development. So we have the PPD, the PUP, and PCR. In order to have a homogeneous territory, this configuration is reinforced by a hierarchical process and a balanced one. second approach, we have the multi-level collective spaces. We have the compact city, which is multi-level collective housing areas, densification and urban sprawl. The second objective, urban regeneration, through development operations by building the city on itself. And then we have strengthening the green framework through the promotion of urban agriculture, which is very important point. And also by development of green spaces in order to construct the rural areas. For the other approach, it is the delimitation of douars in order to simplify to limit the existing douars, knowing a very good dynamic, to framework the rural population and their regroupments. The sixth principle, to minimize this distribution through the platform Urbadoir, which have been developed by Kénitra in order to generalize your digital transformation of urban planning procedures in rural areas, ensure good control of rural territories,
Avant de clore, نهضروا مع لميا ما خلتنيش كتخلتني نزربك قال لك الترادكتور الى
I'm talking in very rapid way.
Et compte tenu des éléments de contexte et des enjeux que nous avons développés en lien avec les terres agricoles,
So it is fundamental to have a model of urbanism or urban planning that aligns with the SDGs. So we have 4 levers: the green infrastructure, the construction of ecological infrastructure. When the actors collaborate and coordinate to find solutions, that's what we are doing to delimit the parameters of soil management regulations and policies, the establishment of appropriate regulations regarding land use, and towards collaborative and decentralized urban planning, the adoption of the principles of participatory and concerted urban planning through the use of collaborative digital platforms and AI by promoting territorial intelligence of urban planning for inclusive and sustainable development.
Merci beaucoup, Madame Hamtami, pour cet exposé riche qui nous a permis pas seulement d'avoir la vision du département, mais également...
Thank you. This treats the whole problematic concerning the consumption of agricultural lands. Mr. Al-Harsh, can you please answer the accusations in favor of inclusive development? Go ahead, Mr. Al-Harsh. Go ahead, please. Hello, everyone. Thank you to the organizing committee. Thank you for the successful organization of the event. And thank you for providing us with your vision concerning the replacement of agricultural lands. In my presentation, there will be complementarities or additions to what was already said. Maybe a little redundancy, but my presentation will focus on the region of El Gharb. 4 axes: the role of agriculture in national economy, the problematic of building in constructions in agricultural lands, and in the end we have organized a event and a series of webinars, especially for the thematic webinar on the regulation, webinar on geomatics and AI for the management of urbanization, and at the end the environmental impact and social impact of urbanization. The urbanization process transforms the environment, and the preservation of agricultural lands impose many challenges and affects the attractivity of cities. This threatens food security in the country, but also biodiversity and some balances. We can note that around 63% of the Moroccan population live in urban areas. We can notice that there is a lot of pressure on urban areas. Geospatial tools play a central role in the analysis of the management of agricultural lands, and next to technology, thanks to computing systems, it is possible to map with high precision the dynamics, territorial dynamics, and to analyze the evolution of soil occupation. These tools help to model different development scenarios, the areas to protect as a priority, and to have a territorial planning that is balanced by providing data and a global vision. The geospatial tools are essential levers to conciliate urbanization and the preservation of agricultural resources. Now, we can say that the SIGs allow to collect, analyze, and visualize geospatial data. They are used to understand the complex interactions between different elements of the field and to better take decisions in different fields. The planning of the sector, urbanization planning, and environmental monitoring. If you can see with me, SIGs, the spatial analysis and the dynamic mapping, where we can use SIGs in our context, in our topic. For example, the analysis of the fragmentation of agricultural lands around cities to undermine and reduce urbanization.
Est essentiel pour analyser.
Remote sensing is very essential for urban expansion through monitoring of the occupation and between urban and agricultural lands, for the monitoring of through the comparisons of satellite images through the urbanism development, and for the sensing and detection of risk zones, and also the impacts of urbanism on natural resources and the environment. As an example, thanks to the images Sentinel-2, we can detect the expansion in urbanism and can the losses of arable lands. We can monitor the conversion of urbanism through satellite images. We can use drones, Google Earth engines, and also special databases in order to integrate geometric points and polygons with the descriptive charts, and to optimize analysis and to optimize the use. In our topic, you can centralize the information on arable protected lands, on the urban expansion, also on sprawl. So the integration of technology can help anticipate your intervention and also for a sustainable use and to optimize the use for the territory management and the role of algorithms and management in dynamic management and the modelization first in order to analyze the tendencies of urbanization and to foresee the impacts and also to help in decision taking based on data available. So there are some types of algorithms used in order to manage the algorithms, the algorithm of classification of spatial analysis through the automatic machine learning and it's a random forest or suppose vector machine or neuronal networks. We have to detect urban zones and identify them. For instance, the detection of recently urbanized zones thanks to Sentinel-2. We can cite the models based on automats cells. These models based on cells can help occupy the soil or the land based on predefined rules and the density and structures, and we have spatial interaction model to analyze the flux and the flows of population and their impact on urbanization. Now let's move to our zone of action, which is the irrigated zone of Gharb. Here is a map that shows the location of the irrigated perimeter. The action zone is situated at the region of Rabat-Salé-Kénitra. It is known for its important agricultural potential and also the provinces of Kénitra, Sidi Qasim, and Sidi Slimane. It englobes 14 circles and other local governments or communes, territorial communes. It bounds for a high level of arable soil and water tables. In order to assess the development tools, we have used Art Explorer and Copernicus, ArcGIS and QGIS. We have already used for the extraction of image. We have atmospheric and radiometric corrections in order to extract the zones that built between 2017 and 2021. Then, with the ArcGIS, we have proceeded for the precision of the irrigated perimeters in 2021, and we have downloaded by Copernicus and Explorer images, and it helped us to show the composition of the images, and in order to have an image that contains bands and also the composition of bands that we have done with the Sentinel system in order to identify the irrigated systems or irrigated lands. Then, with ArcGIS, after the composition of the bands in 3 parts that contain 3 images of 2021, there is the extraction as you can see. It is the result. After the classification, ArcGIS helped us to generate the classification of images. The data and development help classify the data and also to supervise, to see the supervised and non-supervised or monitored and non-monitored zones, And there are disparities between these zones noticed. That's good. So the result, a map of occupation of the irrigated perimeter in 2017 and also in 2021, and we can notice that this zone, the zones that were urbanized are easily noticeable. This is the table that shows the details. We can notice that this urbanized superficie moved from 14,800 to 15,000. This shows that during 4 years, 1,030 hectares irrigated were urbanized during 4 years. What we can conclude that special studies have led to the results, the 30 hectares and between 130 hectares between 2017 and 2020. By 2050, with this tendency, there will be no irrigated lands left. There's different actors that play a role in territorial management. So, for the recommendations, we recommend first the development of a national observatory of urbanism and agricultural lands, first to monitor in real time the urban expansion and its impact on our agricultural land. First, is to set a geospatial database that integrates information and with partnership with bureaus of studies and universities in order to guide the territorial planification, and this will help to manage well the territories and to optimize the urban expansion. Also, the integration of geospatial data in the planification, in the urban planification, and then the elaboration of urban growth models. And thank you for your attention. Thank you, Madam Sheiba. You have given us a clear image about the development and especially in Gharb and the consumption of agricultural lands. In order to conclude, I will give the floor to Dr. Sakarina Nasrawi. I will not give you time limits because no one respected time, and this is not this will not be observed, and you have time, I think.
Et on marche avec ça? It's here. And you can see the screen? Huh? Ah, ça va. Regardez ici. Et top.
Good afternoon, everyone, and allow me to speak in English. First of all, thank you so much for including me in this session. It's such an honor to be among distinguished experts. And I think I have a very hard job because I have 12 minutes, but the session ends in 5 minutes. So let's see what I'm going to be able to do. Today I will be talking about, the presentation is not on, but I will be talking about I'll explore an angle of the preservation of agricultural land that is a little bit different from the angles explored by the esteemed experts. And I'll basically link the concept from our regional perspective at UNESCO, like how preserving agricultural land in the Arab region leads to building resilience, enhancing equality, per se, and food security. To start with, I'm here as the lead of the Sustainable Urban Development Portfolio at UNESCO, which is the United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Western Asia. For those amongst you who do not know what UNESCO is, it's basically one of the 5 regional commissions around the world covering the Arab region and focused on advancing socioeconomic development. I'll limit it to here, but of course we can look more into that. What am I going to be talking about very quickly, Lamia, I promise? Like urban growth and sustainability, of course, but what is the scale of agricultural land loss? How does this link to food security, insecurity, I would say, and its link to inequality? And this is a global quest, right? When we link the issue, a development issue, to inequality, it even gets more attention. What are possible policy solutions that we are proposing at the regional level, and how can technologies, new technologies, be used in the transformation towards smart and sustainable city contribute to preserving agricultural land rather than basically eliminating lands? And how can it contribute to enhancing food security and reducing inequality? Very quickly, I think we all know this. We are living in an urbanizing world in the Arab region. It's one of the most urbanized regions in the world, and cities are basically experiencing a series of resilience and sustainability challenges related to many aspects, including growth, competitiveness, performance, and others. Now, why am I starting with this? Because when we talk about urbanization in the Arab region, we're really talking about, we need to mention key facts. And those key facts start with the fact that urban expansion really often encroaches on fertile agricultural lands. And this leads in irreversible loss of arable land. Right? That is not only an Arab a regional issue, it's actually a global issue. And if we look at statistics, globally, more than 24 million hectares, we started talking about the hectares we're losing in Morocco, but like globally, more than 24 million hectares, for example, of cropland were transformed to urban use. And that is by year 2000. So imagine what happened after 25 years of urbanization. In the Arab region, basically, rapid urbanization has been leading to displacement of agricultural communities, of course, threatening food security. And in here, I'd like to put like different lines under food security, because most of what I'm going to be talking about is basically the consequence of not preserving agricultural land and how this impacts food security, therefore impacts inequality in the region. Over 50% of the of food in the region is imported, and this definitely increases vulnerability to global supply chains, right? So preserving agricultural land is really central. It's really important because it supports domestic and food production and reduces dependency on imports. Dependency on imports makes economies more vulnerable to external shocks. So we can see the line we're following, right? Now, when I talk about food security in relation to preserving agricultural land, we're really talking about basically the access of people having physical, social and economic access to sufficient, safe and nutritious food. This is what we are referring to. But at ESQA, what we've done is basically explore this issue of food insecurity from an inequality lens. And this is not like a policy brief we've done or like just a paper we've done. It's a flagship report that we've worked on for 2 years, and that was followed by a forum on, which is the Arab Forum on Equality that was held, that usually is held in June. And that report really focused on food security. The result is that food insecurity fuels inequality. And inequality actually fuels food insecurity. So not preserving agricultural land leads to food insecurity, which fuels inequality. And it's a vicious circle. And that is why we really need to preserve agricultural land. I would say globally, but our focus is the Arab region. Very quickly, key facts, and this is the result of a monitoring framework that we've adopted at the regional level and that we've measured different indicators. Of course, time does not permit, I'm already at 6 minutes, so time does not permit to go through all the details. But like food insecurity really locks inequality into the next generation born. So children that are going to be born in the next generation are going to suffer from food insecurity if we continue following the same pace we are following now. And already the Arab region really suffers from severe inequalities. Now, there is, the rhetoric, there is a lot of discussion on the issue of inequality, but the Arab region is really considered as the region that unfortunately has the highest inequality in the world. So now we're adding another level. I'm not going to go into all these, but just to give you an idea, this is the monitoring framework for measuring food insecurity in the region that we've adopted. What I want to shed light on is basically the 4 pillars of food security that we've linked to loss of agricultural land. And these are availability, accessibility, utilization, and stability. So when we talk about food insecurity, we're not just talking about access to food. We're talking about access, we're talking about availability, we're talking about utilization, because in many instances, we're not utilizing food quite well. And we're talking about the stability and how conflict in regions, in different countries affect this quest. Of course, this is done at different levels in certain, and you can see in here the indicators. The level of analysis was at the regional level. Sometimes it's at the household level when we talk about accessibility, because we measure like the capacity to acquire due to economic constraints, and some other times it's due to physical constraints. And there are detailed indicators that you can have a look at, and they're all present in the related study. One thing to mention, in addition to the monitoring framework, in the Arab region, food insecurity, though agricultural land is key, preserving them is key, but we have also to keep at mind also the polycrises that the region goes to, and it affects also the agricultural land. So basically we have conflict, we have economic crises, we have environmental crises, and all these are affecting the agricultural land. So it's not only urbanization, there are many factors, and we need basically to kind of have control on those factors as possible. Again, when we talk, what policy solutions do we have? There are different policy solutions, but I'm having a slide particularly to show this, just to highlight that it's not about economic growth. Securing food is not about economic growth. Economic growth alone cannot achieve food security. We need integrated policies. And I think in one of the interventions of the esteemed speakers, there was a call for integrated policies as a recommendation. So this is important. In a nutshell, in terms of policy solutions, we really call for a combination of integrated policies to reduce inequality. Otherwise, we cannot, because we know it's multidimensional. To reduce inequality in food security, a three-pronged approach is needed, and this is something that we can take hours to discuss. We cannot, unfortunately, we're very short in time, but we need like a three-dimensions approach where we talk about promoting solidarity for food security, delivering visible impact of food insecurity, and securing credibility and trust in the matter. Otherwise, it's impossible basically to advance this linkage that we're creating between food insecurity fueling inequality. Of course, the policy solutions that we are proposing are based on the monitoring framework that I just explored with you along the different pillars. But as you can see, I've highlighted that agriculture lies at the core. When we talk about food security, this is the policy framework that was recommended and that is adopted, that is followed by countries in the region. In terms of availability, basically, we need to support agriculture in terms of access, of course. In terms of utilization, we need to improve food control systems and others. So throughout these slides, to be very honest, I wanted to highlight a link that we can spend hours discussing, and that is this link between preserving agricultural land leads to enhanced food security, therefore helps in bridging aspects of inequality. Not preserving is the other way around. Now, what about technology? I mean, in this third Arab Land Conference, we've been talking about innovation, we've been talking about the use of technology, the use of new and digital solutions, the transformation of cities, urbanization. Does this affect really agricultural land? Of course it can, but I mean, it shouldn't really be the case. Urbanization does not necessarily have to be at the expense of agricultural land. And in specific, I wanted to bring into perspective the transformation towards smart and sustainable cities. For anyone amongst us who's not comfortable with the concept or is not aware of the concept, it is that city that uses innovative solutions to ensure like the services are available for current and future generations, and it has different dimensions. Here I'm trying just to tell you that in the Arab region, this has become a reality. It's not science fiction anymore. More than half of the Arab countries have initiatives for cities transforming into smart and sustainable city, and really, smart sustainable cities can be used as a solution for preserving and protecting agricultural land, and they can be used through smart land use planning and green infrastructure, and we all know in terms of planning the compact design, zoning regulations, etc., urban agriculture and vertical farming, digital and Internet of Things based smart farming, circular economy and resource efficiency use. I'm already at 12 minutes. I don't want to take more time, but it really matters because using smart solutions properly, adequately, preserves food security, therefore ensures local food production, it reduces environmental degradation, it protects rural livelihoods, and it enhances climate resilience. The proper use of smart solutions contributes to climate change adaptation and basically mitigation. Of course, I talked about policies. We call for integrated policies, and I'm only putting this slide just to tell you that if we are to map the dimensions of a smart, sustainable city and the dimensions of building urban resilience, particularly urban economic resilience, and of course this mapping is engraved in studies that we've published. The link is very direct, so basically the transformation, if it's correctly done, can lead to building resilience. And of course, throughout the process, we need to preserve the agricultural land. I'll stop here at 13 minutes, Lamia. That's the quickest I was able to do. And let's say that, let's agree that urbanization really does not have to be at the expense of agricultural land. And the future, actually, of cities depend on the land that feeds them. And thank you.
Merci beaucoup, Dr Nasraoui. Donc, je pense que ce...
So, I thank you so much for your presentation. So, this aspect that you've raised is very important, and we should really highlight in the politics. So, thank you. I want to thank all the panelists for their intervention, for their presentations, and if you have any questions, the floor is yours.
Donc voilà, vous avez le micro, allez-y. Merci de donner votre nom, votre...
And of course, your name, and then the question.
السلام عليكم. عبد الإله مفضلي مهندس مساحة.
عبد الإله مفضلي, an architect and in topography. Two questions I have. First of all is when we talk about urbanization in the expanse of agriculture, I think we are self-contradictory in terms that we're talking about improving urbanization, and when we come to what has been established and implemented from the administrative plan, the rate at the best cases doesn't go above 20%. Sometimes it's 15%, because if at the same time we haven't implemented to 100% the urban planning, and at the same time we go so far and think about how to preserve the agricultural farms. I think there are some things we can do, for example, like real estate promoters. They just build in the middle of nowhere and they close their buildings. Or, for example, sometimes there are some houses that are left with their no use. We have many examples in Casablanca. We have big lands that belongs to somebody living abroad and have no inheritance here in Morocco, and it's just left for nobody and unused. Also, just the idea of that we couldn't accomplish 100% the urban plan, I think it's contradictory to our seeking.
Ask you the question. So you said that we cannot rely on external markets. So because whenever there is a financial hit, we are the first one to get on the face. In 2025, we cannot imagine a kind of economy that is independent of external supply chain solutions or external financing or external economic links. So I had the chance to work with the Moroccan agency or the Moroccan office for agriculture advisory, l'Office National du Conseil Agricole, and during some discussion, a director said to me that we go for the type of agriculture that brings us more added value or that has a very interesting return on investment than some classic type of agriculture. And she said, for instance, that in a population used to have to farm a kind of agriculture that bring back 3,000 dirhams a year, which is almost $300 a year. On the other hand,
merci d'écouter avec la question, comme ça on peut écouter l'ensemble avant de devoir quitter la salle, parce qu'on est tenu par un agenda et par un timing.
Please, can you go directly, or can you do the
bring more than 20,000 dirhams a year. So this is not dependent on us, it's dependent on the return on investment we get from the land. The worst case is that even agriculture is not something we can have many return on investment as the housing market. So we go to the housing market, we invest in the housing market. The rock instead of investing in our agriculture security. Thank you. What do you think? This is the question.
Good afternoon. أنا عندي سؤالين. السؤال الأول.
I have two questions about, first one about the remote sensing, about is it ready to be used in terms of agricultural production, and is it compared to what has been done before? We tried to do that in Egypt to know the rate of productivity and also the productivity behaviors and protect any problems detected in the water or in the soil by remote sensing. My second question is about the first food security. I think that the most of the farmers.
احنا محتاجين نرجع step ورا ونبدأ نحاول نخلي agricultural sector more attractive for people. And to make it more attractive, we need entrepreneurs. And to get entrepreneurs, we need to actually raise awareness about value addition. And from then مش هنحتاج نتكلم عن food security. إن الفود security هتبقى حاجة هي economic value. أنا بكسب فلوس أكتر أو بصدر فأبقى بنتج بدل ما أنا باخد من بره. أو أنتوا شايفين دي حاجة ممكن نشتغل عليها كدول عربية إزاي؟ اللي إحنا بنعمله في مصر إن إحنا بدأنا نعمل زي incubation أو acceleration programs ومن ال acceleration programs
The speaker is switching between Arabic and English.
طالعين من الأماكن نفسها
Please, one last question because we're not on time. Thank you.
السلام عليكم. عبد العالي الطوس، مستشار في إدارة الأراضي. السؤال ديالي للسيد عبد الواحد المقدم.
My question is to Mr. Abdelwahid Muqaddam, who detailed in his presentation that there is a large regulation in terms of protecting agricultural lands. Is this regulation is it kind of limited, or it is the problem of implementation on real life? Also, secondly, is it according to the agricultural general map? Can we have an agricultural planification like the urban planification, or multiple agricultural plannings, and that will be regulated as well to be implemented the same way the urban planning is implemented in the cities? Can we reach this level of enabling the agricultural sector and also preserving the agricultural lands from division, from urbanization, and also from segmentation of these agricultural lands?
Je commence.
شكرا جزيلا مدام لطيفة النحنحي مديرة إعداد.
Thank you very much, Fatima Nahnahi.
Thank you for all the presentations. I've learned a lot. I have two things that I want to share with you all, and a question which is important for the development of agriculture in Morocco. It's a reflection. Nowadays, Morocco has this climate change. in the rainin levels. So now Morocco is in this ambition perspective of desalination. So for the rational use of resources, do you think about a new agriculture cartography? Because we know that the question of desalination is very costly. So in 2040, for example, or 2050, don't we need another agriculture cartography? Or we will identify agricultural lands near these spaces, those spaces, because it's a risky action.
Zones qui sont éloignées des zones littorales parce que on sait que le stress hydrique.
And we know that the climate change problems are still there because it's a trend, as we can say, this climate change.
Je sais que le Maroc aussi, il est entré.
So Morocco now is in this optic of the use of water. So we had recommendations when we have an observatory of agriculture and urbanizations. So I want to inform you that today the ministry, with its partners, the Ministry of Interior and the regional committees, we have observatory about territory dynamics, and we will implement other observatories in order to measure the impact of urbanization and those dynamics in general. I think it is important to make them efficient in order to identify the indicators, because we have signed 7 conventions nationally, and we should generalize these practices. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the question. If I understood correctly, I think I have 3 questions addressed to me. For the first question in relation to investing in food, I think the message was not understood correctly. I was not advocating for definitely investing in agriculture. I said that in the Arab region, 50% of food is being imported. And if this continues, it contributes to lacking resilience in the city, then country, and so on and so forth. So to build resilience, we need to enhance our access to food and not just depend on the externals, okay? That's what I said. But not investing necessarily just in agriculture so that we have food security. The return on investment should be studied. Every country/city should look at the added value of the investment and proceed. Okay, that's to clarify this question. On the very interesting questions coming also from the lady from Egypt, I think, on the use of smart solutions basically to predict, this is exactly what I meant when I talked about the transformation to smart and sustainable cities and the use of smart and sustainable and smart and digital solutions that can lead to preserving agricultural land rather than urbanization taking away agricultural land. So by installing smart right predictive systems, you can ensure at least you can have your predictions that this land is going to be affected by factor X, Y, and Z, etc. So yes, of course, we advocate for this. And on the value added of investing in agriculture, you're absolutely right that the audience, or at least the youth, because you mentioned the youth, we need to raise awareness of youth on the importance of investing in agriculture or studying agriculture. And I invite you to dig more into the model I talked about, which is the 3-pronged model for reducing inequality and increasing food security. One approach of the 3 branches model is visibility. And when I talked about visibility, it's visibility of the issue, that it's an important issue to address, but also the positives by addressing this issue. And thank you.
Alors, donc, oui, donc plus rapidement, donc pour répondre à ta question, le taux d'urbanisation future.
So to answer your question, we have algorithms that serves for this specific purpose and for the use of detection to estimate the agriculture productivity. So yes, there is algorithms as NDV, and we have other models. So we can discuss this. We can discuss this afterwards for more details. And we can work with rather data in which help us to measure some factors. And it's good that we are in the era of AI, so we can develop those algorithms.
D'accord. Ben oui, je pense que j'ai une question, effectivement, de monsieur qui parlait un peu de taux de réalisation.
So I think I had a question to answer, which is regarding this sprawl. So yes, the urbanization, we are talking about infrastructure here. We are not talking about it from that perspective.
C'est-à-dire en équipement touristique, en équipement industriel. Mais tout ce qui est infrastructure, parce que ça relève d'un département qui est la collectivité territoriale. Parfois, ils n'ont pas le financement.
We don't have the financing in order to project this aspects of urbanization. So there is a difference between the zoning and the infrastructure. But the state is conscious about the sprawl. So now we're thinking how we should be in those zones. So it's a new work. And create renovations. And also, in order to have other areas. So the problematic here is in the sprawling. We have a compact cities.
Merci, madame.
Thank you for your response.
شكرا. Thank you, Sayyidati. Thank you very much for your interactions, ladies and gentlemen. And I think the questions that were mentioned are very important points, and they require more clarifications in terms of when studying them or searching them. So this rate of the rate of occupation, which is different from one region to region, but we shouldn't be totally pessimistic. And there is no denying that there is the problem of our urbanization on the expanse of agricultural lands. Even if the urbanization rates they don't meet what has been planned. Also, when it comes to remote sensing or what has been done on relying on technological resources, while frankly speaking, on a national level, there is a decent effort to prepare a data bank or database for all the information of agricultural activities, including agricultural lands, and also including collaboration in collaborations that aim to provide these agricultural maps, and which will help increase productivity, and provides more equipment, and also make the lands more productive, because some lands are useless for agriculture. Some lands with low quality that we might study, and also some from the same studies we can see what the lands where we can execute the urbanization and economic development. There was a question, a direct question to me from a brother here. Regarding the regulations or the legal arsenal that we have in the agricultural sector, because frankly speaking, regulations and law are neglecting the agricultural activities, and agriculture by the legislators is not a priority. So the legislations really neglected the agriculture, and that should be overcome by a strong political will, and His Majesty clearly mentioned the necessity to protect and preserve the agricultural activities and preserve agricultural lands, and also responding to the urbanization needs and to the real estate development. And thank you. Thank you for the speakers, and thank you, our dear audience, for your patience and your interaction in the debate and dialogue. So,
de cette rencontre.
So before reading the recommendations, I want to thank UN Habitat and the Ministry. I want also to extend my thanks to all the panelists and experts that have been present with us. thank you all for your work, and also the responsible of Ministry of Agriculture. You have done a great work, so this event can be a success. So for the recommendations, it's to reduce inequalities, to protect the rural areas. Those are our first recommendations. For climate change, we should promote the agro-technology and reinforce all the programs and projects in this aspect. And the creation of a national fund for agricultural lands. Also, we should implement a legal framework for the agricultural lands. And implement regulation and policies for the rural areas or for irrigated areas. In terms of urbanization, we should limit the sprawling by creating spaces, and also the management of sprawl, exchange with different actors, and raising awareness, because it's an essential point for this aspect. Implementing an integrated approach for the agriculture to find balanced solutions, encourage investment in sustainable development projects, and to improve the monitoring and consumption of agricultural lands, and the land, try to improve land management through spatial tools, and also to implement a more transparent land management between different actors, and other recommendations, which is dedicated to the conservation and preservation of agricultural lands, and innovation and transfer of technology. So it was all. Thank you for your patience. Thank you.
De quitter, je demande à l'ensemble des panélistes si on peut avoir une photo de famille avant de se quitter, et merci beaucoup.
Merci beaucoup. Merci beaucoup.